Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to show you how to download any Adobe scripting extensions or plugin guide to a PDF format to be offline. If you've been coding for even just over a year or so, you'll notice that the scripting guides and things like that have changed formatting and how they appear. And it actually used to be really easy to just click on a button and download any of these guides as a PDF, but now that it's changed, so has the method to get them offline. And before we get started, you might be asking, why would you want it offline? Well, there are lots of situations where you might not have internet, where you want to just have a certain version of the guide before anything changes, or you might just want to have your own copy on your hard drive for safekeeping. And in fact, if you have, for example, saved bookmarks of the old version which include the PDF in the URL, those no longer work. So having an offline version can be very useful, and it's super easy, so let's go ahead and get started. So the base hub for all of the Adobe guides is on docs4adobe.dev. This literally has everything and it's all organized so you can view all of the things. You can view the C++ related guides, the CEP related documentation and guides, UXP, scripting, anything. All we have to do to start is choose what we want to download or convert to a PDF and save onto our computer. Let's just go ahead and say the After Effects guide, right? So in the past, there was like a little icon somewhere that allowed us to click it and say PDF download, please. And just like that, we'd have a nice PDF. But now we have to do it manually. If you scroll to the bottom, you can't quite see it, but there's a little print icon. And the print is the key here. If you look down here in the bottom right, there's this little print icon, and we want to click on that. It doesn't work the same as if you were to do file print or right click it and choose print, because that would just have one page. So if we click on the print site button, you can see it's going to load up things differently. We have actually the entire scripting guide sort of laid out onto one single HTML page. And that's the key to getting the whole guide out of this. But now that we have the full page basically on one HTML site, we can then go to File Print or Control or Command P on Mac and Windows respectively. It's going to prepare your preview, but the main thing here is to change your destination from whatever your printer is to Save as PDF. Then we're going to scroll down a little bit to where some of the actual useful documentation is to see how it looks, because a lot of times you want to adjust the margins. If we choose no margins, let's see how that looks. It is going to take a second because we're loading 402 pages. You can see with no margins, everything is pretty close to the edge, but I think this does look pretty good. Let's try minimum to see what the difference is. Minimum looks pretty similar. What if we do a custom? Can we adjust how close everything gets? And as you can see, that actually does push it in a little bit and allows us to customize it. So if I do like 0.21 in this case, we're going to squeeze in the guide just a little bit to give us some padding on the sides. And this is one interesting thing, is that we can kind of customize how the guide is going to look to us. So we can scroll through and see how is it looking. And you'll notice, for example, here we have text document.line orientation, and it doesn't actually cut off the code or the text below it. In previous versions, when we did have the sort of PDF automatically generated, a lot of this stuff would get cut off. And another option, I guess, we can also adjust the margins on the top. So if we wanted to do 0.21 on the top, we can do that as well, just to make sure it doesn't look like anything is getting cut off. I think that could be useful, but it's also going to change the formatting of pretty much everything. And I actually really like how that looks, so I'm going to also do the bottom 0.21. And I think that looks really good. We even have page numbers. We'll see if these actually get exported. But now we have this entire, now it's 423 pages of our After Effects scripting guide. And now to save it as a PDF, we literally just have to go in and click on Save. And then we'll choose a location. It'll save it as Offline Docs After Effects scripting guide and hit Save. Now, if we go ahead and load that, it looks like it's about 10 megabytes. We now have an offline version of the scripting guide with the padding we chose. It does include the page numbers. We might be able to change that, but I don't really care. In this case, I'm just happy that everything is nicely padded on all four sides of the document. Let's do another one. In fact, let's do a big one. Let's do a big one. We're going to go to C++ and download the After Effects plugin SDK guide. So we'll click on that to go to it. And once again, we'll go to the very bottom and hit that print site button, which should be under my face right now. And this will load up the entire guide, ready to print for a PDF. So we'll hit Control P or Command P, and we'll wait for it to load for a second. In this case, we got 520 pages. Let's see how that changes specifically as we adjust the margins. So I don't technically see an option to turn off the page numbers. I think that's fine. We'll go ahead and go to Custom again and check out the padding we got. It looks like it's auto done a whole bunch of stuff for us. So let's change it to minimum so that everything is kind of set up for us differently. I don't really like how the different sides have different paddings. In my case, I want everything pretty standard. I really like the 0.21 padding we had on all sides for the other guide. You can see we've already gone from 520 to 480 pages. But what we're going to do is just the same thing we did before. Change all of the margins to 0.21 inches. And remember, our original page count was 520. We're now down 80 pages, so it must be shrinking it quite a bit, which is fine. I actually like it to be a bit smaller and have more packed onto one page, because when I'm browsing through a certain type of object, I want to see as many different things as possible. Actually, it looks like right here, maybe we do have a couple of issues. You can see the right side here is getting cut off. But for the most part, it should be like auto-fitting it as best as it can. That's interesting that that's cut off. Let's see if by changing it back to none or default, if we can get it to fit in there. It's an interesting thing to note that in the old version as well, when you auto-generated the PDF, it would also cut things off. In this case though, if we choose the default, it looks like it's working. So let's quickly recap why the different margins might matter. If you choose default, everything will, I think, guaranteed scale to fit within the margins and display. It won't go over and not display all of the information. It will scale it to fit the screen. But if you choose custom ones, you might have issues where things get cut off. Reason being is some of the guides have really long blocks of text and those won't get scaled down properly as far as I can see. So it's really up to you whether you want to use custom margins or not. I have some downloaded which use custom margins, some now using default, but it seems like foolproofness, you'll want to use the default to better fit everything in there. And then we'll hit save again, save it to our location, go ahead and check it out. And you can see now we have a nice offline version scaled to the default margins of our After Effects C++ SDK guide. And that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the thumbs up button down below. Make sure you check out the links in the description to help support me, as well as check out any other cool stuff that I create. This was just a quick guide on how to download any Adobe guide to be offline in PDF format, whether you use custom margins or default margins. You can customize a bit of it and then have it for offline use, for record keeping, or just easy access. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.